Hi everyone, I'm Kristen and this is the Queen City Yarn Dying to Knit podcast. This is episode 5 and it's a podcast about knitting and all of the fibery things. I am a knitter, I'm an independent yarn dyer and co-owner of Queen City Yarn, and I'm here today to talk to you about all things knitting. You can find me on Instagram as Kristen C. That's CHRISTENC. And I also post under Queen City Yarn. And you can find me on Ravelry as Kristen. And I also opened up the Queen City Yarn group on Ravelry. So that's where I'll post show notes about the things I talk about today, or links to things that I talk about today. And you can check out our yarn at queencityyarn.com. So, yeah, I'm going to be talking to you about finished objects, current projects that I'm working on, as well as some really exciting things coming up for Queen City. So, the first thing I would like to talk about is let's do a faux show. And I actually have a faux show this week. I'm wearing my finished, again, Greco tee. And this was a pom-pom pattern. I used Elizabeth Lavold Hempathy in Snow Shadow and Peacock Luck. I used ChiaoGoo needles, size 2 interchangeables. And since last time, I have fixed the sleeves. If you'll remember, I picked up at the wrong rate, and so they didn't fit well. So I picked up at a 2 to 3 rate, 2 stitches for every 3 rows, and it worked out really well. I also lengthened them just a little bit, so this is the tee. And I think probably I could still stand to lengthen it another stripe or two, but I'm calling it done. I'm kind of done with it. And I really don't know if I even would have enough yarn to lengthen it another couple stripes. I'm just going to wear it and enjoy it, and if I decide to lengthen it some, I'll let you know. But right now, I'm rocking it. This is the first day I've worn it, so I'm really excited about it. I turned it around, so this was actually intended to be in the back, and you were supposed to knit little I-cords here to tie together. And then the back of it is just straight across here. And so that was supposed to be the front. But I like a V, so I turned mine around. And I'm super happy with it. I love the colors. Green is one of my favorite, well, my favorite color for sure. And then I really like blue because I have blue eyes. It looks, it's flattering. So, yeah, I'm loving it. And I'm really, really feeling good wearing the hand knits today. It's nice to be able to wear something hand knit down here right now. I'm in South Carolina, just south of Charlotte, and it is like hot. Not just like a little bit hot, it's like hot, hot. It's in the upper 90s and it feels like 100 or more. So it's pretty cool to be wearing some summery kind of yarn. And I'm actually swatching for another summer top, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then the other thing that I have finished, I actually don't have here to show, but I do want to talk about it, are my husband's shorty socks. So I used the Socks That Rock Lightweight and in the colorway Thraven, and yeah, I finished them. I had finished them last week, but if you'll remember, they had 2 different toes. I had one with the wedge toe, which is what I usually do. And then the other one, I had knit the round toe on. And he tried them on, and he was like, this round toe is it. Like, this is the best. This sock fits so well. And so I was really excited to finally find what his favorite sock recipe is. And so I cut off the wedge toe and reknit it into a round toe. And I went and gave them to him, and he immediately put them on. And even though it is, hot down here, he works like crazy, and he's always in his office, so he's always inside, and it's, we have the air conditioner running, obviously, so his little toes get cold. Or long toes, whatever. His toes get cold. So he oftentimes will wear the shorty socks that I have knit for him, and my mom knits him quite a few pairs of shorty socks too. So he'll oftentimes wear those in his office while he's working. So he put them on immediately and just loved them. And yeah, so that's my other FO. And these are the only two things that I have finished. But I'm really, really excited about his socks because now I have his perfect sock recipe. And so, yeah, we'll talk about all the things that I'm knitting now. And the first one is, surprise, a pair of socks for him. Now that I have his perfect recipe, I was so excited to cast on another pair. And I showed last time a new colorway that I had designed called Sneak with a pair of his sneakers in mind. And this is it, all wound up into a pretty ball. So it's lots and lots of gray, like tonal gray, a couple different colors of gray. And then this super neon yellow speckles. And I really, really love the way that it's knitting up, and he does too. I cast these on last Friday. We went to the mountains with some of our friends for the weekend. We're super lucky to be invited. They have a house in the mountains. It's actually up near where the fiber retreat is, the Carolina Fiber Frolic that I go to in the fall. And it's like a little bit past that from us, but it was beautiful. They live, or they have a house, a vacation home, up like up on the top, almost the top of the mountain. And so the views were spectacular, and it was so relaxing, and it was super comfortable weather, like in the 70s. So I loved it. It was so nice. But anyway, on the drive up there, I cast on Sneak socks for Mike. And so I'm doing, let's see, needles everywhere. I'm doing shorty socks again because that's his jam right now. He used to love tall socks, but he's really into the shorty socks now, so that's what I'm knitting him. And when he tells me he wants long socks again, I'll knit him some long ones. But so I did just like a 1-inch cuff, 1x1 rib. I did a tubular cast on because that's my favorite, and I love the way it looks, and I love how stretchy it is. And then I did a heel flap, which I think this yarn worked up so cool in the heel flap. I'm loving it because I did like the slip stitch heel flap and heel turn, and I'm doing the double gusset heel because that's his favorite, and that's my favorite for top down socks. So yeah, this is, I cast it on the ride up there and just literally only got it cast on and then worked on the blanket for the rest of the ride up. But this is what I worked on the whole time we were there. The people I was with, my friend, she's not a knitter, and we had all of our kids there. So I have two, Caitlin and Ryan, who are 6 and 4, and then they have 3 children. One is 8, and then a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So there was lots of kids all around. It wasn't like, oh, let's just sit and chill and relax and knit. It was like that a little bit in the morning on the back on the porch overlooking the mountain with tea, because they're not coffee drinkers. That was kind of sad. But I did go into town and get coffee, which was awesome. But anyway, I sat out on the porch and knit and looked at the mountains, and this is what I got done. I got the cuff and the heel flap, I did the heel turn, and I have the first gusset done, and I am currently working on the second gusset. So with this double gusset, after you finish your heel turn, like when you're picking up the stitches, going up the sides of the heel flap, you put a marker on either side of the heel turn. So you decrease those heel turn stitches first, and then you move your markers out some, and you start decreasing the extra stitches that you've picked up around your heel flap to get it back down to the correct number of stitches for the bottom of the foot. So that's how that gusset has worked. But I'm loving it. I'm really, really, really excited about the yarn, and my husband is too. He's like, those are going to look so great in my sneakers. And he was just tickled that that I had actually dived, we had talked about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to totally do that. But, time and just, I had a lot of stuff to dye anyway. But just the fact that I was able to get it done, the colorway done, and started socks for him, he was very, very excited. So these are currently living in my purse, like I said, because I cast on the way to the mountains, and so they've just been kind of living in my purse. I knit on them a little bit at the house, like on the porch, in the morning and then in the evening after we put the kids to bed. And then we went to a park one day, and so I walked around and knit on them there. But otherwise, they haven't gotten so much love. But that's what's happening. And they're my Kitchen Counter Crafter Eagles bag, because this is the sock bag for the husband, because the Eagles are his thing. So these are the purse socks now. And so, okay, let's talk about the socks that were in the purse. All of the socks are getting shifted around just because of simply like where I am in working them. So let me get some coffee. Yeah, so I'm just moving everything around so that it suits me to knit on it when I have the time in the different areas of time that I have to knit. So these are my Thanks Mom socks, and they're in my Thanks Mom bag because she made me this awesome knitting bag with coffee themed. And so these were in my purse. These have now been moved to the car. So I'm using Lollipop yarn, which is one of my, well, she's my favorite self-striper for sure. Probably. I just love her. And I know her. I just love her. She's amazing. She's such an awesome person. If you ever get an opportunity to meet her, you totally should. And also, if you have her yarn, knit with it. It's amazing. And if you don't, try and get some. So this colorway is called, this is her tag, Lollipop Yarn. And this colorway is called What's New Pussycat. And it's on the beefcake base, so it's a sport weight. And so this is the main color, and then this is the coordinating in purr that I'm using for the toes, and I will use also for the heels. So I don't know if you remember, but I have finished the first tube, and I am like really getting there on the second tube. So let's see. I'm getting pretty close to where the cuff is going to go. I've got, it looks like, I've got one more dark stripe and then one more of the variegated or speckled stripes. And then I'm going to start the other cuff. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one as I did on this one. And so I knit, when I got done with the speckled stripe, I knit one round all the way around in gray. So I wouldn't have that funny pearl bump in the speckled on top of my gray. So I knit around in gray, and then I started a 1x1 rib. And then when I got done with the gray stripe, I did 2 rounds in the speckled, and then I did a tubular bind off, which is kind of like a Kitchener. But I love the tubular bind off and cast on. So that's what I did. But it looks like, it's just like tipped with the speckly. And I really love that. The first time I did that, like added that feature was, I was knitting the Desert Vista Dye Works, and it was the colorway Eau Clark, and it was stripes, it's just self-striping yarn, and it was stripes, and then there was one speckled stripe that was supposed to be like Christmas lights, because the colorway was called Eau Clark. So there was a stripe of a speckled, and so I did that at the top and kind of like tipped my sock in Christmas lights, and I really, really love it. And so now with the self-striping socks, that's kind of a feature that I like to try and include if I can, if it doesn't make them like super duper long, to be able to include that. So those are the socks in the car now, and that's just because they're just at a stockinette part where I can just knit around, and then it'll be rib, which is also super easy for the car for sitting and waiting to pick up the kids or coffee or pretty much anything. So those are the socks in the car. And then the socks that were in the car are now like in the playroom, because Christmas in July is a thing, and it is actually happening for me anyway. So this is in my Java Jenny. It's a snap bag, which is fun, and it's my Christmassy one. And I cast these socks on Christmas Day. And I'm knitting them in the Rock and String Creations yarn. It's a self-striping, and it's an 80-20 blend. and the colorway is called Merry and Bright. This was a gift, a Christmas gift from my friend Janice. So this is the colorway, and it's beautiful stripes. I'm loving it. So, oh, and I'm also, once I cut them apart, I put them in this Slip Stitch Studio whip minder, which is a really cool one because it has this zipper pocket where you can like keep all the things. So I have my favorite little scissors in there, and my Lose Me Not, which is a Jan Smiley thing. She's one of my friends, and I love these things. She does the Poke Me Knots and the Lose Me Knots, and then there's also like even a smaller one. So I have some stitch markers and a darning needle in there. But anyway, I like the little zipper pocket on this. It's like an extra feature that none of the other whip minders, brands of whip minders that I have, actually have them. But I finished the tubes, and I cut them in half. So I'm really excited, and they mirror each other because I knit one long tube. I started here. No. Well, it doesn't matter. Whichever one I started with. I started with one end of them and did a 1x1 rib, and I knit a super long tube, and then I cut it in half. So I'm ready to add toes. And so I am going to finish these in July, and these are going to be for me. And I've been talking about, you know, finding the perfect sock for my husband. And I've knit myself. I mean, I have a sock drawer completely full of socks. Not so many pairs of Christmas socks though, so that's why these are for sure for me. But I'm gonna try a different toe on these too. And I'm gonna do the round toe, but I'm gonna do it shorter. I'm going to reduce the number of rounds that you do in between the decreases by like maybe 1. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I'm going to do a shorter round toe, and I'm going to see how I like it. I feel like the round toe that I knit for my husband, I tried his socks on, and it felt a little long. I kind of have, he has like really long like finger toes, and I have short stumpy toes, just like my mom. So I didn't need like the toe of my sock to be quite that long, but I would like to try the round toe for me, an altered round toe for me, because I've knit a round toe before. But anyway, I can do that without worry of the sock fitting with a different length of the toe, because I haven't cut the heels in yet. So I can finish the toe, and then from the tip of the toe, I'll measure. I cut mine in at 7 inches for my size feet. I wear a women's, usually a 9, like an 8.5, 9. So yeah, I'm going to do the toes, and I already cut them apart and have them on the needles. They're ready to go. And I'm just going to use the same yarn. I thought about using a coordinating color. I've got a lot of Queen City scraps that I could pick from, but I decided I just wanted to use the same yarn and kind of use it up. And so I'm going to knit the toes on these, and then I'll cut the heels in. And I'm hoping to finish these before the end of July, because, like I said, Christmas in July. It's a thing I said, and now it's happening. I'm doing it. So those are the socks in the playroom currently, because it'll be easy to just pick them up and knit them while we're in the playroom, which we're in right now. I've been moving all around. This is the second time I've podcasted in here, and I like it. I like having my yarn stash behind me. I think it's pretty. I really enjoy seeing other podcasters stash behind them when they are podcasting. And I was actually able to podcast in here because my daughter cleaned the playroom yesterday, like legit cleaned the playroom. We have this art table where they do all kinds of coloring and painting and all of the art things. And it was just, you know, they scribble or they color and it goes off the page and it's all over the table. It's like a white tabletop. She even got a magic eraser and scrubbed the table to where it almost looks new, which is crazy. So she wanted pancakes for supper last night, so I made her pancakes for supper, and I told her we'd go get snow cones today after school, or after camp. So, but I could actually get in here to podcast, because had she not cleaned the playroom, there's no way. There was just stuff everywhere. There's no way I could have, like, set up to podcast. So anyway, in the playroom, and that's where those socks are living, because right after camp, it's so hot outside that unless we're going to the pool, you just can't be out there really. It's like suffocating, the heat. So we've been playing in the playroom until it cools off some, and then we'll go outside if we don't go to the pool. So anyway, those socks are in here, and I'll knit the toes. Hopefully this afternoon I'll get working on one. So, okay, so that is all of the socks. And yeah, I haven't knit even a single stitch on my Flax Light. It just has not been the thing that I've been knitting on. What I have been knitting on is the baby blanket, which is definitely not going to be done in time for the shower. That's just the way that it is. But that's okay, because I can show them at the shower, and I think they'll be really excited. I'm hoping to get the knitting done, or at least the color work part of the knitting done, and then I'm hoping to steek it before the shower. That way they can really understand that it's a blanket and not like some weird cowl thing. Yeah, I'd rather not have to like explain it. I'd rather just be like, hey, look at this blanket I knit for your baby. So anyway, I'm using Wool-Me's Pure, or Wool-Me's Pure, and just like I did for my kids' blankets. And I've actually got some work done on this. So I don't know if you remember last time, I was kind of stuck, feeling like I didn't really know what to do. So I did those blue stripes. Oh, hold up. Dropped some stitches, like a lot of stitches. So anyway, I was doing the blue stripes because I really didn't know, what I wanted to do next. And honestly, I wish I had just continued in the arrow pattern and not done the blue stripes. But because I kind of had my heart set on doing different patterns. I don't know why. I think because I did different patterns with Caitlin's. And I just felt like I wanted to. And plus I had drafted up different different colorwork stitch patterns. And so anyway, I feel like if it wasn't colorwork, I would cut that center blue stripes out. But I think it looks cool and it's staying. Like I needed to be making the progress. And I think that's why I just decided I was going to do the stripes, which I think they're cute. But it's not my favorite part of the blanket. So we have the raccoons at the bottom, and then trying not to lose stitches. And then his name, Colton, and the stripes. And now I've done more of these arrows, and they're mirrored from the bottom section. And so I've got one more arrow to do, which I started. I think I've done one round of that arrow. That's the last one, the last arrow I'm going to do. And then I'll do another one of these bands, and I'm going to do a band of raccoons. Janice, my friend, and my friend Alexis, I've talked to them so much about this blanket. They're probably sick of hearing about it. Trying to figure out what I'm going to do, like what's next, pattern-wise. Should I use the ones that I drafted up? I decided I didn't want to. I decided not to use the green because it wasn't the right shade that I wanted. It just didn't flow for me. And so I've been talking to them about the blanket, and they both said, I really think that you should put the raccoons at the top too. So I'm going to. I have one more arrow and then one of these gray bands. And then I'm going to do the raccoons and then another gray band. And then I'll do like this little bit of rib. And then it'll be ready to get cut. So this should take like no time at all, right? Except for I have to do those raccoons again where I use 3 colors in one row because it has to be done that way for it to look right for me. And I'm just not looking forward to it. So I'm trying to push through. I'm hoping to get this other arrow done today. And then maybe I'll be able to start. I'd like to get that raccoon started. I haven't decided whether he's going to be the same direction, like so that he'll be this way as well, or if I should mirror it. And so that when you fold it in half, it will be mirrored. And I did that with Caitlin's blanket. Janice thinks they should be mirrored. I haven't decided yet. I mean, it's just as simple as turning the chart upside down and working it that way. So it's not like anything that I have to like super figure out. But I haven't decided yet. So when I get there, I'll decide and that'll happen. So that's the progress on the blanket. And that's really what has gotten most of my attention when I have the brain space too, or, you know, time to actually sit and knit where I'm not like knitting on the go, which is when I do my socks, you know, like with the kids playing or whatever, I can knit a sock and still play and be present. But with this blanket, you know, it's more than one color, so I'm holding them in both hands and knitting along, and it takes more of my mind to be able to do that. So when I have the brain space is when I've been working on that. And I really, really, really hope to get the color work done before the shower so that like I said, so I can cut it. And my mom is awesome, like in so many ways. But she totally made my day the other day when I was talking about the blanket. And I said, you know, it's not going to be done for the shower. I mean, it would definitely be done before he's born. He's not due till October. But I really did want it to be done for the shower. And I was like, well, it's not going to be done for the shower. And I'm still going to, you know, find fabric and figure out how to sew that on the back. You know, woe is me. How am I going to do this fabric backing? Because I'm just not a sewist. It's just not something I've done or really want to do. I think it's amazing, like all the people who are sewing their own clothes and stuff like that. I just don't see myself having the time to do that. I don't have a sewing machine. Anyway, the blanket thing, it has to be stitched on by hand anyway. I talked to my friend Jan, who makes bags, like amazing bags. And if I was going to get sewing advice from anyone, it would be from her for sure. And I asked her if she would want to sew the backing on for me. And she was like, no. Sewing with knit fabric on a sewing machine, she said anytime she's ever tried it, she did not have good results. And she, you know, wouldn't want to chance messing up the blanket, which I really appreciate. But anyway, my mom said that she would hand stitch it on for me, which is awesome, which means that it's going to be really nicely done because she did the one on, she hand stitched on, well, she put the backing on both Caitlin and Ryan's, but this one will be done the same way as Ryan's was done, and it looks so good. I'm really, really excited about it. So I still have to find fabric, but I have a person who's going to sew it on for me. So yay that. It's actually going to happen. Because if I was going to do it, I'd be like, I don't know. Maybe you'll have the blanket in a few years. Definitely he'll be too big to cover up with it. So yay, Mom. Yep. So that's what's happening with the blanket. And then, let's see. A new cast on. I do have a new cast on. It's like a garter stitch thing, which is crazy because I don't usually knit too much garter stitch. But this is in a Freckled Whimsy bag that I got, I don't even know when, like maybe a year or two ago. But this is actually hand-dyed fabric that she dyed. And I just think it's just crazy beautiful. My mom actually bought this bag for me as a gift. I think it was a birthday gift. But anyway, so out of the Pom Pom, the summer 2018 issue, there's this bag in here. It's called Judoka. And it's like a bag where you just knit a garter stitch thing and then you fold it up and seam it. And it makes this like super cute little knitting bag that you can then like tie it up. I don't know. I don't know if I'll use it, if I'll love it. Maybe I will. But I just wanted to knit it. And the reason I wanted to knit it is because, two reasons. So my husband, sometimes he has meetings that are like near a yarn shop. And if he does and he has time, then he goes in. He's so sweet. He'll go in and get me a surprise to bring home to me, which just makes me feel special that even out when he's, you know, doing these meetings and working his tail off, like he'll still take a few minutes to go in a yarn shop and buy me something special because he knows that it will make me smile, and it just feels good to know he's thinking about me like in the midst of his crazy, crazy job. But anyway, when the last time he brought me yarn home was, I don't even know when, it's been a few months ago, but it was a nice surprise. And this is what he brought me. It's called Pendenza, and it's 100% Egyptian cotton. And it's like a gradient kind of thing. I don't know what the yarn shop is called that he bought this yarn at. So he doesn't, he knows a lot about knitting because I talk about knitting all the time, like knitting is life. So he knows some things, but he doesn't necessarily know, like wouldn't just go in and pick yarn for a project for me. So he'll, you know, the staff at yarn stores are knowledgeable. And so he'll go in and be like, she really likes knitting shawls. And so he'll bring me home yarn for a shawl. Or she loves knitting socks, which is what he said here, that she loves knitting socks. And they sold him, it's fingering weight, so they got that right, but it's 100% Egyptian cotton, mercerized cotton. I would not use this for socks. I feel, and it was not cheap. I feel like that wasn't the best recommendation from this yarn shop. I was surprised when he was like, I told them you like knitting socks, and so this is what they gave me, and it is beautiful, but I absolutely will not knit socks out of it. I don't think they would stay up, like at all. Maybe I'm wrong. If you've knit cotton socks with mercerized cotton and you love them, tell me and let me know what pattern you used and all that jazz. But for me, this was not like a sock yarn. And so this is, look, this is the outside. So this is what it looks like inside this one. This is the outside. So it's like a gradient. It's beautiful. I think it's going to be gorgeous, but not for socks. So they sold him 3 skeins of it, saying that would be enough for socks. So, whatevs. It's some yarn. I think it's beautiful. But anyway, so I'm knitting this bag pattern, and the reason why I'm knitting this bag pattern is because, and I think, sorry, dropping things. Probably easy to tell that I'm a huge Joji fan. I knit a lot of her patterns. And anyway, so she knits with these like crazy long needles, and she talked about on her journal a shop, I think it was in the UK, that sells these. It's a 16-inch needle. So I wanted to try it. It's like a different technique of knitting, and it's cotton, so it's like stuck on here. So, but like you tuck it under your arm, and then you knit, you know, off the tips. So this, you don't have to hold this needle because sorry, I kicked the thing. It's like tucked under your arm. So I wanted to give it a try, and I've done a little bit of garter stitch, and I think probably this was a good project to pick for it because you're not doing anything but garter stitch, you're just knitting. So I'm getting a little, becoming a little comfortable with the technique. The first few stitches are super weird because I'm used to holding both needles, but this is, you can't really hold a 16-inch because it's like, you know, hitting yourself. So you like tuck it under your arm and then you knit off the tips. And so I just did this one evening. My husband and I were just watching a show, and I just wanted to give it a try. It's interesting. I'm gonna knit the whole bag with this technique, just to give it kind of a good go. It's good. You knit like a garter stitch rectangle, and then you fold it and seam up 2 sides, and then you have like this like cute little bag, little sock bag or whatever. So that's what I'm doing, and it's interesting. When like the first few stitches of the row are awkward because of the way you're holding it, because you tuck it and you knit, but you gotta kind of like, for me, I still have to hold, like steady this needle, and I think it's just because that's what I'm used to. So yeah, and trying to find the right spot for like the tips to be has been awkward for me. So I think the best thing for me is to like point it down in my lap. That way my arms aren't like all up in my face like this. Just because I think that's more comfortable for me, the way you hold it. I haven't looked to see, like I was actually thinking maybe I should look at like a YouTube video and see like how people are actually holding, where they're holding the tips when they're knitting it, to find out like what's really comfortable to do with it. But anyway, I cast it on. It's going to be just easy knitting. It's been downstairs because that's where I cast it on at, but I haven't been working on it except for that one night just to give it a go because I've been working on the baby blanket. But it is something that I plan to pick up and work on probably after the baby blanket is done now. But I just was excited to give that a try. And then the only other thing that I have been working on is, and I mentioned last time I podcasted that I was going to swatch for my Riley tee. So I started the swatch, but it's not done yet. But I have this in, let's see, I have this in a pink hazel bag, which I bought. It's a really beautiful bag. I bought it from Primrose Yarn Company, and I have seen other people talking about these bags, and I really like them. This one has a handle. I kind of wish that it had the loops, the D-hooks or whatever. I don't know what exactly they're called. That then you can hook that crossbody strap onto. I think that would be super cool. Like the Eden bag, I think is the name of the bag that Pink Hazel does with those. It's called D-rings on the sides, and then you can hook this like leather crossbody strap around it. I think that'd be super cool. But anyway, I think it's really pretty. It's a beautiful bag. The fabric like is just bright and cheerful, and it's like this really beautiful rose print, and then the inside fabric is kind of metallic-y, like gold. It's real pretty. So anyway, I was excited to finally pull this bag out and start using it. And I'm using Fiber Natura Papyrus yarn in this gray, which is called Light. And no, it's not called Light because this one says Light too. It's called Vapor is the color of the gray. And then this pink is called Dusty Rose. So these are the colors I'm using. I'm going to be using. Right now I'm just swatching, but it's for the Riley tee. And it's a striped, it's garter stitch. Let's see if I can find the picture to show. I'm really excited about knitting this tee though. I think it's going to be really, really a comfortable and pretty tee. I'm planning on getting my swatch done so that I can cast this on as soon as I'm done with the blanket. Because I would really love to, I mean, it's going to be hot here for a while. But since it's garter stitch and it's knit like on size 5 needles, which is kind of big compared to all of the, not kind of big, but is a larger size needle than what I've been working on. So I think it will be an easy thing to, a quicker project. So I'm excited about that. So that's all the things that I have been knitting on, all the projects I've been working on. I'm going to actually try and knit while I chat with you for the rest of the time, because I always like, oh, I should be knitting. I mean, I always think, oh, I should be knitting. But when I see other podcasters knitting, it makes me happy. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I will try and knit while I like talk about all the other stuff. So, oh, well, I can knit in just a second, because I do want to show you one new thing. I got one new thing, not birthday, just yay, I got it for myself. And it's this Countess Ablaze yarn, and it's really pretty. So she's the dyer who started the Tits Out Collective, where, you know, if I want exposure, I'll get my tits out. She did this whole collection, or headed up this collective, and there's something like close to 300. I think I saw that it was 287 dyers and designers and makers have made things inspired by her initial colorway, and everyone is raising money for charity anyway. So Queen City is doing this, and we've been selling some, which is awesome. We've already raised close to $100 to donate to the Dove's Nest. We want to raise more, obviously. And so I'll talk more about what we have and where it's going to be and stuff like that, where you can get it. But I went to her website, and I just decided, you know, I think what she has done is really, really cool. And I'd like to support her, you know, in some way. So I decided to buy myself a skein of her yarn. And then I think that it will just make me smile when I use it, to think about First of all, I mean, her yarn is absolutely gorgeous. I love the way that she's placed the color. I love the gray that she's got going on, and then all these like really rich jewel colors. So I love the yarn, but also I think what she's doing is really, really cool. You know, out of a not so awesome situation where she was asked for time and yarn for nothing but exposure, and then found that a dyer knocked off her colorway. And instead of being upset, I mean, I'm sure she was upset, but instead of, you know, it could have gone a much different way. And instead, she decided that she would inspire a whole world of makers, I mean, almost 300 makers, to do something and donate for charity. I just think is so generous and so amazing. So I'm inspired by her for sure. Not just for the Crown Town, you know, edition of the colorway, but just in general. I think that that's really, really cool. So I wanted to buy a skein of her yarn to have, and I'm going to knit socks out of it. Not anytime soon, probably. Not like coming up here. Anyway, but it's going to be socks. And when I knit it, I know I'm going to smile and be thinking good and charitable and just inspiring thoughts. So anyway, I bought myself a skein of yarn. And this is her Lady Persephone sock yarn, which is a 75% Blueface Lyster and 25% nylon. So it's a toothier, you know, it's not superwash merino, but I really do like this base. It looks like it will knit up like our Noda base, just the way the yarn looks. I think it's going to be really, really pretty. I'm very excited about it. So this is the new thing that I got as an aside. So now I'll tell you about like all the things that are happening with Queen City Yarn. So like I said, the Tits Out Collective we're doing, and we've dyed up a bunch of yarn, and we had a bunch of pre-orders that sold. So we've already raised close to $100 for the Dove's Nest, which is a local women's recovery center here in Charlotte, and we're loving it. It's awesome to every skein that we sell, we're donating $5 of our sales to the charity. And on August 1st, we will be making that donation. So we would love to be able to donate more than $100. And so we still have some spots open as pre-orders. The yarn, we've dyed quite a bit of it already. The pre-orders are dyed. Those are actually going to be shipping out this afternoon. That's part of what's on the schedule for later today. But so we'll have more, and I'll set those listings as ready to ship, I think, on Etsy. So, but we're also we have some awesome news. We are going to be vending at SSK. Oh my gosh, which is amazing and exciting, and it's so much work, but so fun. So Janice had already planned to go to SSK. She was already in, has, I guess, probably picked classes. I think she's taken a class with Isabel Kramer. So she'll have to come home and share all of her things that she's learned with me for sure. I'll be picking her brain. But so she's going to SSK, and they had a spot open up. I guess they had more space than they thought, or I don't know if someone, who was scheduled to go decided they couldn't make it for one reason or another. Things happen. We're all small business owners for the most part, and it just happens. So anyway, but Queen City is going to be vending at the market at SSK, which we're so excited about. We've been dying our butts off so that we can bring lots and lots of gorgeous things. And by we, I mean Janice is going to be there. She's going to be the one vending there, and our friend Tracy has said that she will help her. She's going to be like the booth babe. So I will not be going, but Queen City is going to be there. We're so excited. So that's coming up, and it's on. So the market is Saturday, July 21st, and we will. I think it's open to the public too. Like, it's not only for attendees, and it's in Nashville. So yeah, that's happening. So we have that. Oh, and Janice will be bringing some of the, if I want more exposure, I'll get my Tits Out Crown Town edition, our colorway for the Tits Out Collective. So she'll have some of that in the booth. I believe she'll have some on Noda, which is our 75-25 Superwash Merino nylon blend, and then also our Uptown, which are our sparkle fingering weight, and maybe even a few skeins on bulky. So if you would like to purchase a skein of Crown Town and you're going to be at SSK, stop in the Queen City Yarn booth and check it out. And we will be continuing to donate $5 of every skein, and we're making that donation on August 1st. So SSK is a couple weeks before that, and we're really hoping to bump up our donation. So check out Crown Town there and all the other goodies. So I guess Laura, Lala, Janice told me that she had said that she would like to knit one of the Comfort Fade cardigans, and that's knit in a DK weight, hand-dyed yarn, and it's like a fade, Comfort Fade cardigan. So it's a fade, and so her plan, I think, is to purchase skeins from multiple dyers in the market to be able to knit this cardigan. And I think that's such a cool idea. It's kind of a way to spread the love around and also just have all of these beautiful yarns in one project. So Janice is going to be bringing lots of DK weight. So we'll have a wall of DK. If you're going to be doing that, go check it out. We have some beautiful colors dyed up on our DK. We'll obviously have our Noda, which is the fingering weight 75-25 blend. That's perfect for socks and shawls. I mean, the skeins are like 460 yards, so they're great skeins to use as shawls too. And it's superwash merino, so it's very close to skin soft. I really like it for shawls too. Socks and shawls and sweaters. I mean, I love a fingering weight sweater. That's pretty much my jam because of where I live and the temperatures, and that's really one of the most comfortable weights of sweaters for me to wear. So yeah, there'll be sweater quantities and stuff. And Janice, I think I mentioned, and I didn't bring it again today, darn it. The Perfect Summer Tee is a pattern by my friend Janice. And she has been, we're putting together kits like for this t-shirt. And so she's going to have that there too. It's beautiful and it's very comfortable. I guess, where do I even have it? Oh, I have it set aside to take to her because she's going to be bringing mine with her to the event as well. So anyway, check it out. There's going to be so many fun things. Oh, and there's also going to be shawl kits, like 3-color shawl kits. So Leslie and Laura both just knit the Goldfish Memory shawl, which turned out absolutely beautiful. It's like a wrap. And they both turned out gorgeous. But there's, and we have samples of so many 3-color shawls, like the Washed Out shawl by Hohi. I actually test knit that shawl, so we have that as a sample. And we've got tons. I mean, both of us really like 3-color shawls. We like big shawls. So, and it's really fun to, you know, you may knit or I may knit like a more subdued sweater, like not such a bright and crazy sweater. And then I like to accessorize with more color and kind of have my pops of color be in my shawl a lot of the time. But anyway, so we're going to have a bunch of 3-color shawl kits there as well. And our little G-pins and all kinds of fun stuff. Hat kits, pom-poms. Gotta have the pom-poms. So yeah, we're excited. I just talked to Janice yesterday, and she's the one who like figures out the booth layout and everything and how that's all going to work. And she's really good. Her brain just really works that way, which is good because I don't know that mine does. I don't know that mine works in that way. But anyway, so we just talked about the layout. So I can just imagine it, just walking in, having all the yarn hanging around. It's so pretty. Our yarn is gorgeous, obviously. I'm a fan of it. And I store it here at my house, but I store it, you know, in the closet of the guest room, which is a nice size closet, thank goodness, because there's lots of yarn in there. But, you know, it's in bins. It's not like all hanging up like in a yarn shop, you know. And so whenever there's an event, and we always do like a practice run too, so I'll get to see it come Monday. But to see it all hanging up and to walk in, like in Savannah was the first time that we had done that type of display where we used the grid wall and had all of the yarn hanging, and it felt like walking into a rainbow, and it just made me super, super happy. So that's what everybody's going to be like at SSK too. So anyway, fun things there. And what else? Oh, the Pal Cal. So the Pal Cal is still happening. That's a knit along hosted by Michelle of the Actually Knitting podcast. She's a local podcaster here. She's up in North Carolina, Charlotte, I guess, or maybe a little bit outside of Charlotte. Not quite sure. But anyway, she's hosting the Podcaster Along Knit Along, and that's happening. It runs from June 15th to August 15th, so there's still like a whole month to participate. Queen City Yarn is sponsoring the knit along, and so she'll be giving away a $35 gift certificate to our online shop, and you can get 10% off in our shop with PalCal 2018. So if you'd be needing some yarn or whatnot, go check that out. And then I'm actually sponsoring the knit along as well as a designer since I started publishing some patterns this year. And so you can also use that PalCal 2018 code in my Ravelry pattern store to receive a buy one get one free offer. So if you put two of my patterns in your cart and then use PalCal 2018, then you can get one of them for free. So yeah, and if you do knit something of one of the patterns that I've designed, I would really love to see it. So send me pictures or post on Ravelry and let me know you've knit it. I really enjoy seeing the patterns knit up in different yarns, and it's amazing what just using a different colorway can do for a pattern. So anyway, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all of the things that I have to talk about today, knitting wise. Hopefully this episode is a little bit shorter. It's not really. It's still like 50 minutes. I guess I'm chatty. But yeah, I don't know when the next time I'll be able to record is. I'm hoping to record like a little short thing with my daughter and maybe with my mom when we get together. And I'd really like to record with Caitlin. She wants to show off her hat that she's been working on. And I just feel that the knitting community would appreciate her enthusiasm for what she's doing. And also her knowledge of knitting and yarn is just incredibly cute. She knows everything about everything, and she can do it all. Her confidence is a beautiful thing, and she's loving it. She's not knitting often or for very long still, but she is knitting some, and I love that, and it just warms my heart and makes me so excited because my mom and I spend so much time together when we are able to be together knitting, and it's always a good time. We always inspire each other, and we always have, obviously we always have stuff to talk about, but to focus and put our brains both on something, and it's nice. It's something I enjoy, really, with my mom, and I'm just so excited that Caitlin seems to be enjoying it with me, and she does want to record something and share what she's working on, so I'm hoping to be able to do that, and maybe I can even convince Mom to come on and do a little thing. So if the next episode, if I'm able to do that, then it won't be that long. I don't know when it will happen. If not, it might be a month or even a little bit more before I can record again, because today is the last day of camp, but like any of the camps scheduled for the summer. So Caitlin goes back to school towards the end of August, and then Ryan will be a week or two after that, I think, for preschool. So anyway, until then, happy knitting.